Hi, everyone. I am KL Smith, the community manager. I had to reintroduce myself. Joined by Nathan Mooney, Jeremy. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited.
Fantastic.
We have a very special stream today, debuting Sevarog on stream. We're going to talk about the design of the hero, who will be available tomorrow. We're going to run you guys through some art. We also have special guests from the community, Ninjapucca. They will all be on. We have Zach Foreman, concept artist, and Gabriel. I'm not going to try to say the last name, Gabriel, but Gabriel is our modeling artist, and they will be up talking about Sevarog. And we're going to go from basic design to concept to modeling, and then show you guys the whole bit with gameplay and stuff here later. Additionally, we are also going to have Ninjapucca Jessica streaming gameplay from for Sevarog for about 2 hours right after the stream. So going to be jam-packed. Can't wait. Should be exciting.
Full of excitement.
Yeah. So Mooney.
So much excitement. Yeah. So.
Your hair.
Yeah.
It's shaved.
Yeah. It's not.
What happened?
So, as you may remember, last stream I said that if I lost within the first 3 hours, I'd shave my head. You know. Clearly, I didn't lose in the first 3 hours.
Right.
So I said, you know, if I lose later, I'll, cut my hair for the satisfaction of people, for whoever beat me, and we did end up losing.
Mm-hmm.
You were in that game.
Yeah,
we were there. You experienced it. It's a word for it. And so I'm a man of my word. So I cut my hair.
Mm-hmm. It's not as low as I thought it would.
It's not. It's not. But I asked Richard, my hair guy. I was like, "Should I go lower?" And he said, "Probably not." And I was like, "I'm gonna trust you." He hasn't led me astray in like 4 years of cutting my hair.
Right.
So
I think you should have went lower. I think the community would have preferred if you had gone lower.
How do you know that? You're just like, oh yeah, I feel the community's need for your hair to be lower.
I think so.
Yeah,
but, I mean, clearly, right?
What do you mean clearly? What? This guy.
I bet if we looked at chat right now, they would say that.
They would say it needs to be lower. That's not.
So, early access started on the 18th. We want to talk a little bit about early access. We have a build update that's going to be releasing with Sevarog, so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. Jeremy is going to talk about the gameplay and kind of design. Our designer, Dave Ewing, is out, so he said Jeremy can talk about Sevarog, so he's going to let us know about how he plays and kind of the direction that you guys steered him as a hero coming out. But we'll get all into that here very shortly, as soon as we can scroll down on these. There we go. So, want to talk about early access that started on the 18th. We had preview prior to that, starting on the 14th, in which people could start streaming the game. What are some of you guys' favorite moments so far from early access?
I mean, I'm very impressed at the rate at which the community's gotten good. Like, it's very impressive, because I know that when I was on CompQA, I was like, it'll be exciting to see if I just go out in the wild and I just get stomped, or if like it takes some time for people to ramp up. But people are getting there pretty quickly. Yeah. I'm honestly impressed. It's like on our notes he has getting stomped by players under favorite moments. I don't know how favorite that is of mine.
It's a favorite of mine because during that game when we actually got beat really bad, you had to shave your head.
Yeah,
so that was just gratifying for me because
just salt cannon, salt everywhere.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah.
Jeremy, you have a favorite moment?
Probably seeing all the ideas. You go into a game and then people are popping off with like, oh, this could be such a cool hero or such a cool idea to put into the game, item, card, and being able to say, okay, well, now we can bring that back from the community and put that into the game potentially in the future.
Right.
That kind of connection with the community is pretty stellar right now.
I would agree. There's been some really cool ideas that we've seen from the community, whether it be things that we're already working on that we can go, yeah, we're working on that, right. Or like really far out ideas that people have wanted to see. So going into Tuesday with our build update, there's going to be a rebalance. There's a hero rebalance for two specific heroes. We have Grux that'll be rebalanced, and Feng Mao will also be rebalanced going into the update for Tuesday with the release of Sevarog. And basically, the reason behind the hero rebalance is, we looked at a lot of data, analytics, community feedback, And for our process, there's a great post by Joe Harrington, kind of really outlining how we go about gameplay balance. But we look at win rates of heroes, we look at community feedback, and then we look at our competitive QA team's feedback, and kind of assess what direction we need to take a hero. So Grux is going to come down a little bit. We'll have that out sometime today for the release notes, and Fang Mao is also, like I said, going to be rebalanced. But talking about Sevarog, Jeremy, what types of things did the competitive QA team kind of bring to the table? I know you played him a heck of a lot. What types of things did you guys kind of discuss with some of the designers for him specifically?
So when the character gets brought to us in competitive QA, it's a situation where, all right, does this flow of kit feel good? Is there synergistic abilities overall? And at the end of it, is there kind of the counterplay from the bottom up? Can a newer player pick up the character and say to himself, okay, I know how to play this character. He's easy to learn. I can kind of mesh with the abilities. And then at the upper end of it, you want the higher tier of player to be able to say, this has a lot of potential for a lot of outplays, for a lot of counterplay, and a lot of different growth, and especially when you get into different card decks and whatnot. You want to have different avenues and routes to go. And so that was our job, was to make sure at least we felt that way, and iterate that back to the designer, and then they can make adjustments accordingly to whatever suggestions we may make.
Okay. For Sevarog, who's a jungle tank / jungler, pretty good at being in the jungle, what types of play did you feel was most beneficial for his particular style? Like, what type of approach do you typically take with him?
Sure. So going into the very beginning of it, the first stage is to figure out what kind of itemization do we want to go for. Looking at like a base card level, we've moved away from necessarily like getting tank items first and foremost, and moved into, okay, now I'm going to get more attack speed, such as a Wing Carver Blade, and build kinetic or attack speed into that, and be able to farm the stacks. Once you get the stacks, you're able to kind of rotate around in different lanes. And the effect of it is that while you're building stacks, and because of the passive, that you're also gaining damage to your Q ability as well as your R ability, you're able to go into different lanes and be able to have an effect there depending on how you're stacking. And then also with the utility inside the kit between lockdown and zone displacement, you're able to kind of coordinate your fight as you see fit and benefit your team as you need.
So like his play style in the mid or early part of the game could change based on how well you're stacking that game, or
exactly.
How well you're
I mean, if you are doing really well in the jungle and you're able to stack and get the bonus damage from the passive, you're able to kind of really influence the damage parameters of a fight. But if say for example you're not, or if the team fight requires it, you're able to kind of go into the team fight and yet again displace. If your Ranger is being attacked at the moment, then you can use your ultimate, knock them away from them.
Right.
If you need to reposition somebody on an enemy on the inside of the field, you can knock them in whichever direction you want to. A route, and you can also force people to back away with the damage that you're getting from the Q ability as well.
It gives you more of a utility role in fight versus
exactly. Yeah, that's kind of the transition, is from a domineering force on the battlefield as the game progresses to a utility control type character.
Right.
So when you talk about getting stacks, this character is really dependent on the stacks. What type of rate do you say you use to gauge whether or not you are being effective with stacks?
So the desired game time is the biggest factor in it. Desired game time right now is we want to have that at 30 to 40 minutes. So in that same essence, we want to have this character that is designed around that, right? So when we were going through the different iterations of jungle timings and stack timings, this was it was kind of a balance point to be able to say, okay, we've got this character in a relatively good position right now when it comes to stacking, and that's obviously something that we're going to take into account, because the community will always find the optimal route versus what we're able to see on the inside a lot of times.
Right. And then for general card scaling and use, what type of feedback did you guys provide to the team to say, okay, well, his ability kit is fine. How does this kind of interact with cards and the effect on the abilities?
Sure. Yet again, kind of going back into it, you start looking at your base cards in the early stages of the game, because you're getting health back from the passive. per stack that you get, then you can kind of iterate into a bruiser type role at the very beginning of the game. You know, like your wind carver blade, get that attack speed, a little bit more physical damage. Then as the game progresses, that's when you can move into more CDR type style, and also more armor, whether energy or physical, depending on what kind of composition you're going against. And with that, it kind of gives you a lot of options towards the end game.
Right.
You know, do you want to have the higher end cooldown rate and say, okay, I'm going to be able to go inside these team fights and have the most utilizing effect? Or do I want to run into the team fight and be able to soak up everything and be able to be that guy in your face that you have to deal with, or else he's going to cause a whole team displacement?
Okay. One of the abilities we haven't talked about too much, and I'm interested in hearing kind of, Comp QA's collective opinion about it, was Phantom Rush.
Yeah.
How do you approach using Phantom Rush in a match, and how did that specific ability kind of, from your guys' feedback to designers, how did you guys kind of work on getting that to feel right?
We felt like we wanted it to be a choice consequence. The Phantom Rush, we wanted the distance to be such that you can combo effectively. Especially if you pop an E on somebody and they're able to be rooted and slow, you want to be able to get to them. And then, obviously the stereotypical combo is going to be the root into the Phantom Dash into a knockback. Yeah, that's going to be choice number one. But as you get into the higher level of play, the choice is going to be, if I use this dash, it's going to put me in a position where I am no longer able to get that fast rush into a correct position inside the team fight. So obviously, it's something that we want everything to feel like you are having a correct and consequential choice that feels good or feels bad if you make that mistake and learn from that mistake. So with that being said, the Phantom Rush allows you to have that kind of quick mobility, and then even from a cosmetic design, to look at it like this big brute guy just floating at you really quickly. It's amazing.
It's just terrifying.
Yeah.
It is one of probably my favorite abilities that's from an effects standpoint that I've seen so far. And for those of you guys who get to use it, it looks so good. It looks so good. So we want to play a video, the overview video for Sevarog, and then we're going to bring on our art team. We're going to bring on the modelers and the concept artist, Zach and Gabriel, and we're going to talk a little bit about the art and design. So if you haven't seen Sevarog video, check it out right now.
Sevarog is a melee tank, capable of stealing the souls of his enemies to make himself stronger. Sevarog can manipulate fights with different forms of crowd control and isolate targets. Focus on buying cards that increase your health, energy, and physical resistances. Early game, start building soul stacks for Sevarog to grow stronger. Use Siphon to last hit enemy minions and steal their souls. As you build more stacks, you'll increase the damage on Siphon, which will allow you to kill minions faster. Phantom Rush is a short-range dash that allows Sevarog to pass through units. Use this to get out of bad situations or to initiate fights. Subjugate will root enemies at range and cause them to be slowed, allowing you to close the gap. Follow up with your ultimate Colossal Blow to knock enemies away, and even into your own towers. Late game, Sevarog is a very strong frontline tank. Use your abilities to control the tempo of fights. If the enemy gets too close to your carries, use Colossal Blow to knock them away. You can also use your ultimate to isolate an enemy, knocking them into your team and using Subjugate to keep them there.
All right, guys, hope you guys enjoyed that video. That is one that we do have on the YouTube channel. That was the overview video of Sevarog that we released. Right now we have up Zach Foreman, Gabriel. I'm not going to try. I don't want to. That's fine. No, I don't want to fix that. So Zach is our concept artist, and Gabriel worked on the modeling for the hero. One of the things that we wanted to kind of talk about and bring to this stream was kind of how we go about designing a hero. So we brought up Jeremy to kind of talk about the kit and how we see it being utilized from a design standpoint, and then once design takes a pass at it, then I believe it goes to Zach for concept, right? Yes. So for Sevarog, it was really about the stacks, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. So that was the big thing with him. So can you kind of explain when you got it, what was kind of what we're talking about?
So yeah, what we get is I'll get like a design doc, and it will, at that point, the kit is finished and everything to a point where it's ready to get arted.
Right.
So that's what I'll look at, and I'll read over his kit, and then my job is to kind of visualize and get the rest of the art team on board with a visual for what the character is going to look like, so that everybody can work off of that to then create kind of the finished in-game awesome Sevarog that you end up seeing.
Right. So, can we put on the thumbnails for him?
Yeah, so this is kind of where, this is like the first thing I would do on the character. And before this, my art director, Chris Perna, awesome guy, he'll come up and give me kind of inspiration and reference. And he kind of wanted to push this guy into the darker fantasy spectrum for our range of characters.
Right.
So I got reference, like classic, like Death Eaters, Lord of the Rings stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, tons of really dark, sinister stuff like that, which was awesome. It's a really fun place to start from.
Right.
But then really I based all this off of the kit, because the gameplay was he grows with stacks over time. Yeah. So I figured it might be a cool idea if instead of just having like a number stack on top or something, it'd be better if you can kind of see it over the course of the match. So these were like the first sketches I did, where I figured it might be cool to start kind of more like Ring Wraithy, and then as you get more stacks, he literally gets more armored and bigger over time.
Right.
So then late game, when you're playing, you can see him across the map and be like, I might not want to mess with that guy, because that guy's clearly doing well in stacks.
Right.
Visual indicator.
So from the initial kind of concept for you, and knowing that the stacks were growth, did you always have a visualization that he was going to be like this ghastly kind of ethereal figure, or was there ever a point in time where you were like, I wonder if this, like, if he should be walking or anything like that? Was there ever a point in time when that was like part of how you kind of envisioned him?
I think in the original design doc, they might have at first been picturing him with 2 legs and maybe walking around.
Right.
But once Perna came to me, he was pushing the more ghostly,
right,
just pure like evil floating.
Yeah, right,
so that's kind of where I started from.
Okay.
And then took it from there.
Okay.
And then this image is what I would show then to Perna and try to get the whole team on board with.
Okay.
And I might end up doing a bunch of these, and then they'll pick one. So this is kind of the.
How long does this typically take you to knock out?
This is just the thumbnail stage, so that was like morning, maybe.
But how long for normal human beings?
No.
I tried to.
It would have to.
I couldn't do that.
I mean,
It'd be a lifetime.
Yeah.
Just flat out. So it's really awesome. Let's kind of look at, after you go from thumbs, what's like the next step for you?
Yeah, the next step, once the thumbnail gets approved, is to then kind of take it all the way. So I'll do a bunch of much more finished. Like this is kind of more the final kind of shot that I would send off to get like approved and whatnot. And then I like to also do like a concept sculpt of it too.
Okay.
So yeah, this is kind of his max stack form.
Okay.
So if you did really well in the game, that's ideally what you would end up looking like.
Yeah. Can we go to the next one? I think that's the cloth.
Yeah, and then this would be his cloth form. So when you start the game, you would look more like this. I wanted him to look a little bit more weak at this point.
Right.
And,
unassuming, and then out of nowhere, just ends your whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can go to the next one, which is. Then that's his max stack form. So yeah, pretty straightforward. You start kind of real clothy and do well, and you end up super armored, and
that's pretty sweet.
That was pretty much the pitch for it.
And then the next one I think is the moods.
Yeah, and I like to do these kind of for the effects guys and whatnot, just kind of like mood boards, just to kind of get the overall feel. So
angry Sevarog. Envious Sevarog and purple Sevarog, the 3 moods.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the final one we have is a video, which is use the sculpt.
Yeah, I like to do kind of like a concept sculpt of it to kind of get everybody to know that it can look good from every angle, so that once the people after me have to work on it, like Gabriel, they're not trying to fill in blanks.
Right. So how long does it take for the sculpting to?
This I would spend more time on this. This is probably the area I'd spend the most time on.
Okay.
Which would probably be 3, 4, up to 5 days tops.
Okay, that's pretty sweet.
But yeah, so then once I'm done with all that, then my job is pretty much finished, and then I pass it off to the rest of our awesome team, like Gabriel and the effects guys who nailed it. I think Nick did all the effects on him. It looks super cool in game. They all just killed it. But yeah, this is where my job would be done now, and then passed off.
All right, so Gabriel, after the pass off, then you go into modeling. What were kind of some of the challenges with like making this character kind of come to life for you?
First of all, I need to tell that Zach 3D concept is really awesome moment for me, for the modeler to start with, because we have the all shapes and in the 3D model, and it's easier and faster to make it happen. And it's and at the end the model it's closer to what Zach planned.
Okay.
And the challenge, the most challenging for me was cloth, doing it, and the cloth is at the beginning when the player is seeing the character for the first time, it's cloth based without this
armor.
This armor,
right?
And I wanted to make it looking good, and I used Marvel's Designer to it. It's a program designed originally for fashion designers. And where you can simulate the cloth, design and simulate the cloth with all the folds and drapery, and at the end you get the really nice effect and really accurate.
Okay.
And for Sevarog it helped a lot, but I needed to learn the software in the same kind of time.
Right.
That was challenging. I need to finish the job, but at the same time learn the software. It's really good.
Okay.
Right.
It was really useful.
Can we show some of the early modeling? So this is him with full armor, I believe. So for each,
it's the final stock.
Yeah, this is the final.
Yeah.
So for each of the transitions, so from cloth form to the armor phase, does that did each one kind of become a little bit more difficult, or did it become easier as you got towards the final stages of it?
It was easier to do. Okay, what I started to building entirely. I started with the 5.
So from the top, from the full armor to the
and you did like at the final stage, and I needed to divide somehow the geometry to make it working, because it need to work separately, and because these elements growing and these elements disappearing during the gameplay, and they need to design separately and looking good as a separate stack.
Okay, that's pretty good. Can we go through a couple more of the modeling shots? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see this drapery here on the back, especially. Yeah.
So the cloth you said probably took the lead, or was the most challenging to kind of bring to life. Was there anything about like his actual physical features, like his hands, or really just be mostly his hands, or the hammer, or anything that was particularly challenging for you at all?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. The most challenging was this cloth, and I spent the most time of the building entire character, because I didn't want to lose from his personality, for example.
Right.
Okay. It's easy to lose something in doing the model. I didn't want to lose it, and I was building the base character. I was working on silhouette, some gestures, the posture of the character, and when I was sure that it's looking good, there is a Sevarog, right? And at very end, I decided to do details, which is really fast this time.
Okay.
Thanks to technology.
Right.
But the hands and the hammer wasn't really heavy.
Okay.
To do the hands represent his personality, because he had no face.
Right.
They are giving him some
That's
kind of
that's an interesting way to think
feeling,
about it.
But it's
Not that the hands are the personality, because he knows he's a hooded figure, so he kind of has to gesture a lot to make.
It was quite challenging, but awesome. The concept is awesome, and it was really nice to do.
Now, how often would you say that you had to go back and talk to Zach about something in particular when you got to the modeling? Was it like, hey, should I
we talk about wars one per week, probably, right?
Yeah. Every once in a while.
kinda
Sometimes
review.
there's areas that I'll kind of leave out. Like for this character in the transition phase, like, you know, I did the thumbnail where it showed the different stages, but the final concept I just did cloth and then the max stacks. And I didn't do one for each
There's like the
stage.
transitions, yeah.
So that was probably the biggest part we needed to talk about, is because those areas were less clear in my concept. So there was more where he'd have to invent and come up with the kind of in-between stages more. So that was probably the most back and forth we had during it.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. So that about wraps up the concept of modeling. We're going to bring on Jessica now. Thank you guys for talking about that.
Appreciate it.
And we're going to have some Sevarog gameplay put up. So the highlights as we bring up Jessica. But really appreciate you guys coming on, explaining the process for us. Going to have you guys on some more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Good.
It's going well so far.
Mooney, you've been quiet. I've seen you. Like, you put on this
Just
loud
in awe,
shirt so you
that's
could
all.
just kind of be
Well,
quiet.
I mean, the shirt's loud for me,
I know.
and then Sevarog's just amazing enough that I don't have to say too much about him. I was just thinking back to a lot of like the old, like when I was on comp and we were playing with Sevarog. One of the guys on comp, Gates, who would make these montage videos, are hilarious. These montage videos of him sneaking up behind people in lane and then just knocking them into
a
a
tower.
Into a tower.
And he also had an alternate folder of fails where he would knock people to safety. He actually, I remember this one specific time, he knocked Dan up on top of a ledge, and then Dan knew that he couldn't get to him, so he backed right in front of him, just like looked at him and stared him down while he went back to base.
I actually think I remember
And
seeing
Gates
that.
couldn't do anything about
Yeah,
it. He
so
was just-
Gates is like jumping
He's
up, trying to-
jumping, trying to will his hammer to hit him, and it just doesn't happen. And Dan's just like, I'm going back to base.
Yeah, pretty much. So we have on Jessica Ninjapucca up. She will be streaming Sevarog here shortly on her personal channel. You got to play with Sevarog for a little bit beforehand. Are you ready?
Yes. Always, right? Like, when in doubt, just say yes. Yeah, I only got to try him enough to know that I want to play more.
More?
You know?
Right.
So,
So
Yeah.
typically when, we've watched you on stream or even at the community event, you kind of gravitated immediately towards some of the support characters. So you wanted to play Muriel right off the bat. And for those of you that have watched her stream know that her Muriel is like top notch, right? Is there a particular reason why you kind of gravitated towards her early on when you first started sitting down and playing and came out to the community event?
as far as Paragon is concerned alone, I looked at all the characters and I'm like, this one has wings and it looks like a robot. I'm going to play this one first. So I tried Muriel and I was like, oh, she's a support character. I've always, in MOBAs, I've always gravitated towards support characters. And I'm one of those players, carry roles are not for me. I don't want to, the flashy plays for me come from making everybody else do the work. You know?
Right.
So the first time that I ulted with Muriel and I saw the potential to turn a team fight in our favor, I was just like, this is the character for me.
Yeah.
So that's and Sevarog being a tanky jungler is really good also. The knockback can do so much, and so just playing with it so far has been really awesome.
I'm interested to see, at least when she's able to play on stream, because of knowing that you kind of like the support role. Sevarog can be a great support
No, I mean, you
hero.
can play him like that, too.
But I'm really interested to see kind of how you approach him when playing with some of the people that you're going to play with. She's going to play with our comp team, and a couple of designers are probably going to be down there to play a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how you kind of mix and match your own unique play style with this specific hero. It should be cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited because usually I'm not very focused on farming because of being mostly a support player, but it's also so satisfying to get stacks on him. That you almost feel like, oh, I want to do this because when I get 20 more, he'll get
Transform.
cooler.
Yeah, right.
So it's really great.
One of the cool things about his effect that I when he does his Q to get his stacks is there's actually like this huge hand
Yeah, like
that
drains.
appears that it drains basically their soul from from them. It's really cool to see the effect in place, and I'm anxious to see it, you know, kind of how people react to it. What types of things did you kind of take away when you were able to play them before you kind of started the stream, or before you came on the stream and were able to play them?
Like you said, the hand felt really solid. The way that he swings his hammer, like the auto attack animation and stuff, it's really, really good. And I think that's important in any kind of hero like this that needs to work on his last hits. So that was really, really awesome to see. I love his root. Like, it feels so satisfying when you land it. I was playing against like a Kalari and she jumped and I predicted like the exact spot. And I was just like, oh, this is like so great.
You should demand her come back down to earth. Or
Yeah.
stay right there.
Stay there. And then the ult is just, I mean, you feel like the power of like swinging that hammer just feels like, yeah, I'm putting like all my weight behind it. It was really good.
That's good.
So
just talking a little bit about the community stuff and you coming out to the events and playing Paragon so far in early access. What do you kind of feel like has been some of the highlighted moments for you so far in early access, coming from the OTs up until now?
honestly, seeing how fast like the game, like the different builds that you guys put out and how fast everything is changing. I remember in OT2 playing the game and I was feeling, oh, okay, you know, like it's good. It like the combat felt a little slow. And then I had to take OT3, like I couldn't play, and then by the time I came in on OT4, I'm like, it's a different game. Like it was so cool to see, and just seeing you guys so involved with the community is awesome, because I think people can feel like they are shaping the game, you know, in a way by giving their feedback and stuff like that, and that's extremely important for MOBAs. You know, I've been playing League of Legends and Heroes of the Storm for years, and the community is really what makes these games. I mean, it's a 5v5, you know, team-based game. You need those people to really feel
I always
play.
feel like people think I'm being sarcastic when I'm on the forums, and I'm like, please give me more feedback.
Yeah.
And we're actually using a lot of this. Like, you give us this feedback, you discuss it, give us different points. Like talking about earlier, she may play Sevarog different as some other person in the community. Seeing how the community plays is another really inspiring thing to see, because you kind of, it pushes yourself to go forward and actually make an attempt to say, you know, the community plays it this way. Is this going to change how we do stuff in the future? Like, is this going to shift how we, you know, balance the game, make certain decisions? And most of the time it does, because there's like thousands of you.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. I remember being at the first community event that I attended, and how much, like, how surprised everybody was that when we give you guys feedback, like, we never at any point felt like there was a roadblock where you guys were like, no, absolutely not.
Right.
You would listen to everything that we had to say, and I think that's the first step. I think a lot of people with, you know, when games like this, they're just really passionate. They want to see it succeed because they like it so much. And so it can feel, you know, it's great to just know that somebody's listening, whether at the end result, you know, like, is what I want or not. Just the fact that my feedback was taken, I think is just enough.
Yeah, I think we look at a lot of that, and I mentioned this on our previous stream. We look at a lot of feedback and figure out, one, if a lot of the feedback kind of aligns up with our analytic data, and then we kind of take the feedback that the community provides us and figure out how we can kind of contextualize that and then make it a thing in the game. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer to take some of those major changes and then incorporate them, but we look at a lot of that and say, oh man, that was actually a really good idea. How about we test that?
Oh yeah. I mean,
that happens quite a bit.
That's the nice thing about like the whole early access season, is we can go in and be like, hey, you guys had this feedback on certain parts of the game that we thought were important to investigate or at least look into.
Right.
And investigating and looking into it can lead to better iterations that we could have even thought of. Like, working together and actually having the ideas be combined could be the best thing in the end.
Right.
So
Have you been? I know you said that one of the things that, and we were talking about this a little bit last night. One of the things that you've done is kind of invite your moderators first, like your first group. Have you found that they've wanted to play kind of regularly in an organized environment?
I logged in the other day because I play a lot. I play on stream, I play off stream. I logged on the other day. I'm like level, I think like 25 or something as far as my player account. And one of my mods was like level 30, and I'm like, they're outdoing me. How can this be? So yeah, and especially in my stream and in my Discord, I remember when we had the Paragon was still under NDA. I made a channel just for Paragon so that people could do voice chat, but not break NDA.
Right.
So I was like, okay, if you need access to this channel, just let me know, and I'll let you in. And there would be 10 people in there, at all times, just kind of hanging out and playing. I remember one day we got a group so big together that we were trying to see if we could Q snipe each other so we could 5v5.
Nice.
So yeah, it's been great. I think not just my mods, but my community in general has really picked the game up, and I think they love it as much as I do.
That's good. That's good. So for you, what questions do you kind of have for us that are from the community, your community?
I have a few actually.
Okay.
There are some very contested topics. One of the things that comes up quite often from people that play other MOBAs, have you guys considered a quick cast, smart cast system where instead of having to click the button and then click the mouse button, you just click and you're done?
So first off, I want to say if there's any feedback that's similar to this, post it on our forums. Either me, Mooney, or Chris, or Raxzilla will be in there to get it. So quick cast or smart casting has been something that actually Steve Superville, who was on during our launch stream, he said that this is something that is actually going to come, but we don't actually have it as a very high priority as of right now for development, but it's something that we're certainly see value in for the rest of the community and want to make that happen for sure.
Now I know you've already talked about this, I think, on the first stream, but you're expecting a new hero every 3 weeks or so, give and take. Will we be seeing like stuff like what you're doing for Sevarog, releasing, doing a stream beforehand and hyping us up? Is that like a thing?
So are we gonna have the tease every week before? So yeah, I mean, I think we're trying to still figure out our own cadence about how we want to release heroes and concepts and go about revealing it to you guys. So for this one, I believe first off, Iggy and Scorch and Sevarog were already posted on the website, so people know that they exist. I don't know if we had confirmed we might have confirmed the order on the first stream that we did, but I think we have a general plan about how we kind of want to release things. We're going to throw out some concept art. We're going to do overview videos. We're going to have a live stream and bring people on from the community to come out and play the hero and give us some feedback on it, as they're releasing, so they can say, hey guys, this is how I kind of learned to play, and maybe provide some tips from the community on how to take a hero going into the game that's about to release. So yeah, I think we have a general idea of how we want to go about doing it, but it may change and vary a little bit as we mature. Right.
Have you guys seen anything that really surprised you about how the community has been playing the game? I know in Comp QA you were saying that for example the 1-3-1 strat or the death ball, you guys had already expected that things like that were going to come out of it. But has there been anything that the community has done that you were like, oh wow, we really were not expect them to play this hero this way or play this?
Well, yeah. So a lot of actually with the whole meta, how people were gonna end up playing the game and what lanes they go into, 1-3-1 death ball, whatever. I think for the most part, I was actually I was on the assumption I had no expectations going into it. I was just kind of going to see what happened. I thought people were going to settle into oh, you know what, we're going to go what we know from other MOBAs and go into that. The fact that the like the 5-man, death ball, whatever you want to call it, and like 1-3-1 started being more and more of a thing was a little bit, interesting to see because it's kind of from the outside perspective. You've already experienced like maybe, trying different things out, playing the game a lot. You see different strategies come and go. And seeing this strategy arise from community has just been very interesting, and like following the process as people like go like, oh, death ball's good, oh no, 1-3-1's more efficient, and people having access to the community kit, like looking at the values and actually mathing it out. That's been the coolest part for me because like on comp itself, like us going through all the numbers and like understanding all that, seeing the community do similar things. Like when I get these forum posts that are color coded with numbers, it's super interesting to see.
I recently saw the Agora's new deck building tool, and I was like so surprised at like how quickly the community is like, iterating these things.
Yeah.
Is that surprising to you guys as well, or I mean?
I would say a little bit. I guess one of the things that's really stood out to me is, I'm also on the replay team, and so when talking about how we wanted to or expected people to kind of use the replay tool, I think expecting it to be used and then seeing how people using it is completely different. Like you'll see, there's so many GIFs.
Yeah.
There's so many like awesome GIFs of like sick plays that people are doing right now, or someone will make a cool like cinematic montage. We just turned off the HUD. We literally just turned off the HUD, and there's already these really cinematic, very well done videos out and about. And so seeing kind of how the community takes some of the tools and then we give it to them, and then the turnaround for making great stuff is a little surprising that it's that quick. I would say that the Agora and the community kit stuff, I would say that's not super surprising. I didn't expect a deck builder to be live this fast, this soon, but I know a lot of people are working really hard to get those types of things up and running as quick as they can. So kudos.
Like you expect it to come, like a lot of the videos and stuff, but you don't actually expect, how good they are. Like some of them are amazing. Like I was like, oh, they're gonna make some cool stuff, and then I'll see it and be like,
Yeah,
How
my
did you do
morning routine consists of waking up, and the first thing I do is look at my phone, and I go on Reddit, and I just like browse the Paragon subreddit, and I'm like, oh, what cool stuff will I have this morning? So that's
some really cool stuff. I think it was Monday. There was like, there's things that people are finding all the time, but some of the stuff is, you'll wake up, you look at the Reddit, and you're like, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yes.
So yeah, it's totally awesome to see that.
very nice.
You have any more questions for us?
We still have time for more? If
Yeah.
you guys- okay.
We still have a little bit of time before you have to head down. Are you ready?
Let's see. Jamie asks, still the most frequently brought up topic on the forum subreddit and even social media is movement speed. Is there anything else coming in this regard, or are you happy with where it's at right now?
So I think from a design perspective, and Steve or the design team will be able to talk about this more in depth. I think we're going to probably talk about movement speed in general. The thing that Steve has said multiple times, and we talked about it a little bit during their launch stream, is that we don't want to get to a speed that is too Twitch shootery. I think that is a thing that we're very conscious of, but the team is not opposed at all to making the game as good of an experience as possible. So if we need to continue to tweak values, we will, but it's never going to approach a speed that is too fast, I think, and the team just wants to be really responsible about how we go about kind of iterating on those changes.
Right, I remember you guys mentioning this during the community event that, Paragon is a MOBA at its core.
Right.
And to me, I feel like out of all of the builds that I have played, the movement speed is the best that I've seen so far at this point. That's not to say that it couldn't be improved upon, I'm sure. But it's great to see that it has, like, where it started and where it is right now. Is really cool to see.
Getting the discussion back and forth, like from Jamie's like super long thread a while back, and
Yeah.
the
Steve actually responded to that thread, by the way.
Yeah. And like having that constant conversation, that back and forth, like with the community, has been helpful in just conceptualizing, where we want to go with certain decisions we would make, and it's helpful to just have more and more feedback threads popping up. So like, I can't say enough that people taking the time to make these threads and actually make their feelings known, whether it's like a completely opposite perspective. Like I had a post that had 5 different topics brought up that I'd never seen before, and that's interesting and important in its own right, because I'm sure that person's not the only person who's had that issue. I'm sure there's been other ones as well, and they just haven't spoke up or maybe posted something.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
I actually had we were talking about this with like a big group of people, and we're seeing how travel form is awesome, like moving around the map, and just like how great it feels, especially as a Muriel player, just seeing like her wings and stuff. I'm just always so happy. But I remember feeling like, oh, if I put a ward down here, like usually they'll walk by so quickly that I almost don't have time to react. And I remember we were all talking about it and just kind of like throwing out ideas of what we thought could be done. And somebody said, hey, why don't they make wards like slow you down when you walk by them, maybe, like, and so wards would have like a dual purpose, not just vision, but like you would give them another reason to be like really,
It's an interesting idea.
Yeah. I saw that thread. I think I actually responded to it with, "That's an interesting idea."
Yeah. And I was just like, I would have never thought about that, but it's like, it's really great to see how when a group of people just kind of start bouncing ideas back and forth, and with a player base that we have, like that's the best way, I guess, to get new things like done. So
For sure.
So we have about 2 minutes, I think, before you have to head down. You have one last question for us?
131, what do you guys think? Is it okay? Are you okay with the fact that a lot of people seem to think it's a dominant strategy in the game right now, and that laning maybe is not as easy of a way to like secure an early lead? Or is that?
So I think that, and a lot of this would be coming from like my own personal opinion and perceptions on the game, because that's all I can speak from. I can't say like, oh, I know every scenario that's going to happen.
Right.
I think that seeing that develop has been really interesting, but I think as in other games and other MOBAs and in any other thing, one thing may be popular at some point in time, but somebody will try and figure something else out. Like we have all that data from like I know I responded to a Deathball thread on Reddit where I responded with, hero XP is being cut between those people. So it's talking about like how efficiently are we min-maxing our values in lane. Like, am I going to out-level this guy because there's 3 people in this lane? Am I going to be able to hold that wave though? Like what hero do I have to play to counteract this? And then you get down into compositions, it gets a little more complex, and then you throw a new hero into the mix, what's going to happen? Are people going to be able to, oh, this is going to be the end of all, end of eternity. Like just people seeing Sevarog as maybe changing the meta, that might happen. Like it's too hard to tell just because there's so many people playing the game that there's so many different ways they could play it that you can't really predict it. Right. I think 131 definitely is doing really well right now, but I know I had seen it a couple times on the weekend versus the comp team, and I didn't see it as putting up that much resistance, but we'll have to see in the future as to the progression of the meta and how things develop, because that's what's interesting, is people creating their own ideas and coming up with, I think this would really work in this scenario, and testing it out and actually just being like, hey, grab a group of 4 of my friends and we're going to actually try out this crazy strategy that's 4 people proxying a wave and 1 person just farming or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's part of it is once we get to a spot where there's more organized teams being able to play, you'll get to see the evolution of where the meta kind of takes form and shape, and okay, they're doing this strategy. What's the counter to that? What can we do to kind of, what's the team comp? What's the counter to that? I think as we mature as a game, we'll continue to see that evolve. So sure, I think it might be popular right now. It doesn't necessarily mean that we don't recognize it, because I think we definitely recognize that that's a concern right now. But the game has just come out not too long ago, and this has just developed. So I think we're kind of waiting to see what's the next step. What are people going? What's the answer to it, right? So, and that's one of the unique things about MOBAs in general, is that you see something kind of trend, whether it be hero compositions or strategies, and then eventually someone says, "Oh, I figured out the strategy to counter that," and then you see that kind of be the kind of the cat and mouse, right? It goes back and forth.
Especially with all these tools coming out too. Like,
Yeah.
Possibilities are endless.
Yeah. So I think we're really fascinated by it for sure, and want to kind of look at, is it something that we need to make a change on? Do we need to tweak values, or is the community going to find an answer?
Yeah, I mean, for my own personal experience, when I first started playing the game in like OT2, I very largely ignored the jungle because I thought that there wasn't too much going on there, you know? And then when we went into early access, well, even before, but like people started jungling and like understanding harvesters better and stuff like that, it just completely like unlocked a new side
It's like,
of the game.
oh,
Right.
yeah.
So,
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the dev stream. We
thank you
will
for having me.
be hosting you very shortly. Jeremy's going to take you down and get you all set up so you can play with Sevarog.
Sevarog. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited. Thank you. Bye,
Yep.
guys.
So, Jess is going to head down. Mooney,
Yeah.
what do you want to say to the community about your loss? You have anything that you're going to throw down another gauntlet?
So no, I feel like I've lost my edge, honestly, and I'm feeling a little humbled because one of the things I tweeted was that
A little bit of humble pie.
Yeah, it's what they call it. I was feeling a little it's like I'm playing too much steel, like I'm getting too cocky about it. It's not going to work. It's not going to help out.
So we have up the chat right now, and I'm interested to see what the chat has to say about
What if I was wearing those leggings with this shirt, though? Can you imagine that? That would be fantastic.
Is that what someone said? Someone talking
somebody
about
was
your
like, what if
leggings?
somebody was wearing Jessica's leggings
with
this
your shirt? That would be
shirt?
nice.
Yeah.
I'm
Anyway,
digging that
I can pull that off. That'd be great.
for sure. All right, so we are patch notes, please. Patch notes are coming. They are a coming. A little bit of that humble pie hashtag humble pie.
That's not a.
So yeah, we're looking at chat right now for the last few minutes of the stream before we head over and host Ninjapucca. If you guys have any questions for us, now would be the time to ask.
Will Mooney's shirt and Puka's pants be on the Paragon store?
Will Mooney's shirt and Puka's pants be on the Paragon store?
My
I
hair
would
is-
look fabulous with those.
My hair is not looking long. Okay, shirt is not too loud. These are all just.
Will there be in-game music at any time soon? Audio is something that we're continuing to develop. I don't know if in-game music is on that slate, but in-game audio, there will be more audio coming soon-ish.
Will auto attack range differentiate on different heroes in the future? If that's something you think would be helpful, I would go over to like feedback and just put up a post why you think it would be good. Just it's very specific because the more specific people are with the questions they have and like features they would want and changes, it's more helpful for us to analyze it and see if that's what would be best for the game and just kind of discuss it in the scope of the community.
Will you go for more lore-based skins or fun skins or a mix of both? Skin-wise, I don't know necessarily what type of plan we're going to roll out. I will say that right now we're really conscious about the IP and building awareness of what Paragon is. So when you say fun skins, I'm thinking you're meaning like, is Hammer going to have like a baseball bat and be like Babe Ruth skin? I don't think that's going to be a thing at any time soon. I think we're very much so wanting to focus around the lore, but we may around the universe. I think we may kind of expand on that in the future, but I don't know necessarily what those plans will look like. I think you'll see really focused skins that come out for the heroes first.
You don't want to see an Arctic versus Mooney 1v1. It's just, it'll just be. I don't want to embarrass Kale like that on stream. So
I will never get
yeah, I think I saw a question about lore. I think from the perspective of lore, we've been really enjoying seeing a lot of the lore that the community's been posting. And there was an awesome Gideon story. There was a long Steel one that I just really enjoyed reading, just especially because Steel's my boy.
We need a Ninjapucca skin. you guys going to shorten the inhibitor respawn times? I don't believe that it's been something we discussed here recently. Be interested in hearing feedback on that. For
As
sure.
Sevarog, you get stacks on jungle monsters as well. Yeah, so
Yes.
you get you will get 1 stack for all the jungle minions, and you get 2 for the buff camps, right? Yeah, it's 2. It's 2 on blue and red.
Let's see if she's up yet.
Why is Steel better than all the other heroes? Well, that's
Subjective.
Steel's, yes, that's subjective. I mean, I believe Steel to be the guy, the homie.
She's not up yet.
There are actually a lot of awesome tutorials, like I know, done through the community. If you just hit up YouTube and actually just type in Paragon deck tutorial, there's like 4 videos that are all above like 20k views,
Yeah.
just really good quality ones. I actually used that to respond to a feedback thread. Somebody was asking about it.
We'll probably have some more coming out
Yeah,
relatively
as well.
soon. Talking a little bit more about cards and deck building and what all it means. But there are some very, very good
that's for
deck
sure.
building community videos that we'll probably start spotlighting more of that. We have been doing quite a few community spotlights on videos,
Yes.
video showcases on the blog, which I highly encourage you guys checking out.
Lifesteal only works on LMBs.
Yes, on basics. LMBs. Some people might have it different.
Okay,
Triggers.
I'm sorry.
Basic attacks.
Basic attacks, my bad.
Grux and Fangmao will be rebalanced in the upcoming patch.
Yes. Will Gadget's art become self-aware and start slapping people? We can only hope.
Is there any ETA on custom games? No ETA as of yet, Fyros. We know a lot of you guys in the community are really anxious about it, and it's a popular request for sure.
Is it any helpful to just drop feedback in as like game modes, things you guys would like to see, and just various rationales behind it? It's very helpful in the process, and I like reading them, especially if they're friendly. Say nice things to me.
I saw something about character releases. I don't think we have a final count on how many will be available on release, but I can say that we're going to be very aggressive in trying to release a hero every 3 weeks, sometime sooner. Did they answer?
Tank care that uses energy damage. I think as for like heroes going forward, I think Steve kind of talked about that because people talked about an energy tank on the last stream or asked a question about it. And I think Steve just mentioned that, you know, like we're working on heroes right now, and just as the future comes forward, like any ideas that would pop in, like from the design team, like we have a process. You guys get an insight into that, so you know, to next stream maybe ask some more questions about like the process, and we can figure out where we are on that.
Is she live yet? Not yet. Any ETA on finishing Jungle Creeps / Prime Boss? No ETA. We are working on it though. When we are able to share some of that info, we certainly will. Is this stream already done? We are wrapping up. We are wrapping up.
Well,
Any Paragon merch coming to this online store soon? You want to get some sweet Paragon stuff. There was a conversation we had not too long ago about updating the store with Paragon swag. I don't have an ETA on that though. I'm sorry.
I'm never surprised at how people build different characters. Like, I remember I saw a post on the forums where this guy was just like, top 5 things, like he was, you know, things that he was just like giving feedback on, and one of them was like utility mage rampage, and I was just like, this is fantastic. Just hearing those words put together in the same sentence. That's what you hope. That's only you dream to see. I'm not sending you my shirt. You can buy it. It's in stores. This is my Fresh Prince shirt.
You do have a nice shirt, Mooney.
I know. I have great fashion sense.
It seems like she may be live. Let's see. We'll refresh one more time. So I hope everyone enjoyed the stream. Maybe answer a couple more questions and then we head out. But if you are not following the official Play Paragon Twitch channel, please do so right now. You can also catch us on social, Twitter, Facebook. We're also in the community subreddit.
Yes.
And if you haven't checked out the blog already, you should do that right now. That is live, and we are posting things daily. Patch notes are on the blog. They will be there some point today, very, very soon. Let's see if, trying to see if she is live now.
Yes, crits only affect basic. What that guy said in chat. You're welcome for the stream. That's no problem. My pleasure.
This guy's shirt.
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous of your shirt.
Exactly.
I'm not
See,
gonna lie.
now it grows into jealousy. Y'all mocked me, and then I'm the real winner here. Wait, when is Sevarog coming?
Sevarog will be available tomorrow.
Yes.
Uh,
Get hype.
So we have an update coming tomorrow, and he will be available after that update. Any special characters in the future, like Gears of War characters, Grim Reaper, etc. There are no plans right now for that. Wolfelder.
My mom actually made this shirt for me. My mom at H&M, she made this shirt for me.
Oh, Will Smith. How you doing?
You're not Will Smith. I will not be your Carlton.
You're jazzy.
I'm DJ Jazzy Jeff.
The shirt, perfect. Looks like she is up and going now. I just saw that pop. All right, there we go. All right, we're gonna hand it off to Ninjapucca. She will be streaming Sevarog and playing on an internal build. Now, some of what you guys see will be a little. You might see a couple of things that are not quite in the build that you guys will play tomorrow. But you guys will be able to see Sevarog in all of his glory. So hope you guys enjoy that stream. Shout out to Ninjapucca for coming out. Anything you want to say before we sign off?
Shout outs. Keep being dope, community. Keep it up.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. We're about to host up Ninjapucca. Head over to our stream if you want to see Sevarog played live.